In the last 24 to 36 hours, there have been multiple aviation incidents, two here in India and two in the United States of America. This, even as the Air India 17 crash makes its way to Parliament, where questions are asked of the government, and the centre has slammed Western media for its coverage of the Air India 17 crash, coverage that has pointed a direct finger without any verified or verifiable evidence against the commander of the aircraft, Captain Sumit Sabharwal. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. Our relentless coverage of the fallout of the Air India preliminary crash report continues. It's a report that's been widely criticized for its ambiguity. And today, the aviation minister spoke on the floor of Parliament, promising to stand by the truth. The minister also lashed out at sections of the Western media that he said had made clear their bias, and remember that the Aircraft Accident Board has also criticized this coverage. Wall Street Journal and Reuters are among media outlets that have been sued by the Federation of Indian Pilots for their directly blaming Captain Sumit Sabharwal for turning off the fuel supply to the engines of AI-171. This, as a series of aviation incidents have come to light both in India and abroad. There was a runway scare at the Mumbai airport today. Can we go back to that, please? There was a runway scare at the Mumbai airport today as a plane overshot the runway. This was because of monsoon weather. Air India has issued an official statement. Remember, this is a terrible time and a difficult time for pilots to be navigating their planes. There was also a technical glitch involving an Indigo airline flight that had to circle in the skies for about 40 minutes. This was headed for Tirupati, and it was circling mid-air before making an emergency landing at Tirupati. In the United States of America, Delta Airlines, a 767 aircraft faced an incident. It actually also had to make an emergency landing, and this took place as flames could be seen from one of the engines of the plane. There you can see that on your screen. And then there was this, as I said, this plane had to make an emergency landing. And then there was the curious case of a Hawaiian Airlines 787 flight that had to make two diversions on the same route. It was headed from Los Angeles to Honolulu. It could never reach Honolulu. It was diverted back to LA twice. This was a 787 plane. This, as the minister was asked why there are no pilots and subject matter experts on the probe panel. We do have one now, former director of operations of Air India, Captain Sandhu is now part, RS Sandhu is now part of the probe panel, but is it too little, too late? Let's introduce our guests on the program today as the Air India crash makes its way to Parliament on a day or in a time frame when, as I said, there have been multiple aviation incidents in India and abroad. Joining us now is Captain Amit Singh, who's, of course, a founder of Safety Matters Foundation. His domain expertise has been flight safety, and it's good to see you back with us. Also joining us is Captain CS Randhawa, who leads the Federation of Indian Pilots. The Federation of Indian Pilots has been asking for the probe panel to be reconstituted. It has also taken legal action against both Wall Street Journal, Reuters, as well as Captain Mohan Ranganathan, who first propagated the suicide theory when it came to Captain Sumit Sabharwal. And also joining us is Air Force veteran Captain JP Singh. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. I just actually, before we get to AI-171, this is also a day when Alaska Airlines briefly grounded all of its fleet due to a software outage. They have resumed operations, but they grounded their fleet, their entire fleet. So it's been a strange 24 to 36 hours for aviation. I just want to ask all three of you, are we noticing this more because of the AI-17 crash? Or are red flags and alarm bells, should they be going off? I'll start with you, Captain Amit Singh. Look at the number of incidents we're actually talking about in a 24 to 36 hour time frame. Captain Amit.
Well, the number of incidents are going up. That is a fact. Plus, for India, the time of the monsoon season, that has to be looked at because this is high risk, basically. And the other incidents were medical, followed by mechanical, and the software. So if you believe in the stars and all, then this might be something to worry about. But from the safety aspect, we have to look at the risk assessment. risk assessment works not only on reaction, the stage at which we are in, the reactive stage, but we have to go into proactive and predictive. In the
Yeah.
predictive, we use something called a Monte Carlo risk assessment system, which goes runs simulations of how what is the probability of an event happening in the near future. So such systems are very nascent in India per se.
Hmm.
But if you are serious about safety, then you have to involve experts into safety and use data to predict what is going to come next.
Yeah, and I'll come specifically to Air India 171 in a moment. But just looking at the Indigo flight that returned to Tirupati after circling in the air for 40 minutes, the Air India flight from Kochi to Mumbai that briefly veered off the runway. But also catching my eye, Captain Randhawa, was the Hawaiian Airlines 787 that diverted back twice, not once, but twice on the same route back to LA. It was not able to reach Honolulu, and finally the flight was cancelled. Uh, you know, uh, Delta, another Boeing flight 767, one of the engines flaming, you could see the flames there. Your thoughts, Captain Randhawa, what is happening? I mean, people are going to be a little alarmed. Is it that we're overreacting, over noticing? Is it that pilots are taking no chances, which is as it should be? What is going on?
You see, I would put across that the number of incidents which are happening, they may be coincidence. You see, after all, these are flying machines, and
Yeah.
they have been flying since last so many years. So many incident in so many hours, I would just put the probability because of coincidence.
Hmm.
Now, as we see the today morning, the Air India 320 aircraft which overran and has been damaged,
Yeah.
been due to monsoons. If we recollect, let's go back. There was a SpiceJet aircraft a couple of years back, 737, which overran and went into the overrun of runway 27, and it took 2 days to pull it out. Until 2 days, there was havoc regarding the traffic movement into Mumbai, and that again was monsoons. Now, every year we have the monsoons coming, and we have the circulars going, and um, the airlines need to be more proactive during the monsoon season. And of course,
Hmm.
the pilots are very geared up for the monsoon season flights, and especially into Mumbai.
Yeah.
So, regarding your incident which has happened on the 787 to Honolulu, and it is diverted twice, I was not aware of
Yeah.
this. It
This has
just came.
happened in the last few hours,
Yes. So
that it had to finally be cancelled. But I was just overall setting the stage for the fact that there are concerns
like
involving
Barkha,
aviation. Yeah.
yeah. But Barkha, I'd like to bring out to you. I've been receiving a lot of mails on my the FIP mail, which is
Yeah.
on the president, from a lot of foreign pilots, foreign pilot associations, condemning the Western media of
Hmm.
giving statements against the captain of the aircraft. And they are saying that these are not investigative agencies, and how they are casting these aspersions.
Yeah.
Now, this I have also noticed in India. I got a lot of calls from pilots from Air India, Indigo, Akasa, who have been very unhappy the way the things were going. But one way I'm very happy, when I came to know about Captain Sandhu day before that he's been put on the panel, that we're moving in the right direction. And I had also interacted with these parliament questions which came up today in front of the
Yeah.
minister,
Yeah.
that there were no subject matter experts, and what would be the real cause. So I had already shared you the letter which I
Yeah.
sent to the
So,
Honorable
so, so, so
Minister. Yeah,
yeah.
please.
So no, I just want to actually play out. Let's bring our focus back to Air India 171 before Captain JP Singh comes in. The minister made a statement on the floor of the House. Let's start there. saying that the probe will get to the bottom of the truth, but also slamming Western media. I know that the Federation of Indian Pilots, led by you, has sent legal notices to Wall Street Journal, Captain Mohan Ranganathan, and Reuters. Let's listen to what the minister said, and I'll come right back to all three of you. Take a look.
To have a definitive answer and a definitive future correction measures, we have to look at the final report, sir. And I can say this to the House and through you to the people of this country also, that the AAIB has a very definitive, thorough, rule-based process. They are very transparently looking into the process right now, and they are totally unbiased. This also I can say that the AAIB is totally unbiased and looking into the facts. Now, there can be many questions also. I have seen multiple articles myself. I have seen multiple articles, not only by the Indian media, but also the Western media, trying to promote their own narrative, their own viewpoint, their own kind of consideration. But I have to tell you that the way we are seeing the investigation is through the facts. We want to stand by the truth, not what is happening with the pilots, or not what is happening with the Boeing, or not what is happening with the Air India or any other stakeholder which is this. We want to stand by the truth. We want to find out what exactly happened, and that is only going to be coming out once the final report has been placed. So we have to respect the process of investigation, and once the process of investigation has happened, then we can talk about what happened and how it happened, and then the corrective measures. If we talk about the other incidents that...
And before we react, there was another exchange between Member of Parliament of the Opposition, Priyanka Chaturvedi, and the Minister, where specifically Priyanka Chaturvedi raises two questions, which are some of the questions that all of you have been raising. Why were there no pilots and subject matter experts in the probe panel before the report was submitted? And why was the report released in the middle of the night with no briefing to the public at large? Take a look at this exchange.
Sir, there comes a moment in time. When we keep our politics aside, and this particular air crash gave us that moment for even civil aviation to understand the challenges and the loopholes that exist. So my question is very specific, which I've written to the Honourable Minister about, that he told us to be patient with the final report. We were absolutely patient with the interim report too. But why is it that the report was released to the Indian people at 2 a.m. in the morning, and there was no briefing done with regards to the AAIB report? So just one question related to the same thing. Pilots have raised their concern that there is no aviation expert who is sitting on that AAIB panel. Why is that so? If Honourable Minister could address that, I'd be grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sir, I'll address the second part first, where it says that no aviation experts have been there. It is not true. There are two subject matter experts in terms of pilots who have been engaged within the investigation team, and likewise other engineers and all from the industry also have been engaged, and International Civil Aviation Organization observer also from the UN, where a lot of articles were there that he was rejected and all. So baseless articles have come up at the time, but everyone who was supposed to be in the investigation team, they have all been there. In fact, pilots have also been there. So that addresses the second part. And also regarding the report releasing, it was entirely up to the AIB. It was up to the AIB to finish the report and to release the report. And it's not that when they finished, then they uploaded it. It is according to their this thing. I don't think there was very specific reason of why it has been released in the night or in the morning. It was the report which was supposed to be released, and it was released at that time.
Okay, so we don't really have an answer to why the report was released in the middle of the night when only the Western media was actually awake. We have no answer to why there has been no press briefing so far. But we do have the centre arguing that there were enough subject matter experts even before Captain Sandhu was brought in. And we have him saying we didn't interfere with when the report had to be released. Let's get reactions to what has happened in Parliament. Captain JP Singh, I'll start with you before I come back to Captain Amit Singh and Captain Randhawa. Are you satisfied with what you heard the minister say?
I think one of the reasons, it may be a bit speculation point of view, but one of the reasons why the report was released at 2 o'clock, because the Wall Street Journal had already released that report. And so had the New York Times. I saw it in the New York Times first. In fact, there was a link to the report, the preliminary report, which was released by AAIB.
Yeah. So I think we're left with a host of questions. I'll come to you first, Captain Randhawa, because the Federation of Indian Pilots in its letter asked for the probe panel to be reconstituted. We have Captain RS Sandhu being brought in now, but the minister says कि पहले ही बहुत experts थे. Are you all satisfied with this? Do you feel that the report, the part of it that has come into the public domain, reflects that subject matter expertise?
No, I did not know that if they were subject matter experts, and for that reason we had written to the Honorable Minister that you need subject matter experts, whether they're pilots, engineers, or air safety people, because per se the persons who are there in the AAIB, they were not competent enough to to be talking about subject of 787 accident which took place. So I think this has been a good move, that at least one pilot from 787 who's an examiner has been put in the probe, and I hope there are other people also put on board, that is engineers from Boeing 787 on the electrical side and from the engine side. So that will complement them, and someone quite experienced person from air safety department of DGCA, who has been handling 787 cases and who's a good professional. He needs to be there. This will complement the team to come to a logical conclusion.
Yeah, but Captain Randhawa, the point is that this should have been done earlier, right? If there is specifically no 787 expert till Captain Sandhu has been brought on board, the preliminary report has already set the cat among the pigeons, proverbially. Captain Amit Singh, you have spent your life with a core focus on flight safety. What do you make of what is unfolded in Parliament today?
Well, if you talk about the minister's statement in particular, he talks about transparency, his complete transparency, and we have expert matters on board. But otherwise, the fact is that this is a closed door investigation, and that is there in the Act. So we cannot deny that. But the Act also says that.
But can I interrupt you there? You remember you were on a program with me, and one of the other pilots said that if it's closed door, let it be completely closed door. Let it either be completely confidential or completely open. It can't be halfway. It can't be thoda sa leak, thoda sa insinuation, right? But otherwise confidential.
So I'm making the same point that if you want to make it closed door, make it closed door. Then you follow the Act as it is given, line by line.
Yeah.
So do not say that in these areas we will not make a statement, we will not do this, and this is what we will do, and don't ask us questions. If you ask questions, then we will not reply. So the point is that when an accident happens, the DG AIB has to constitute an investigating a committee, investigator in charge. We won't go by what India says. Let's go by what the Chicago Convention says, because that is where it starts. India is a signatory to that. And that says that when an accident happens, a investigating committee or a body should be instituted. The purpose is that it has to be a formal body and there has to be a notification. That is when it is instituted. Otherwise, it is an informal investigation. So from the Chicago Convention comes the Indian rules and the Act. So in the previous accidents, there was an order issued by DG AIB that this team, this is the investigator in charge, and a gazette notification would be issued, even for a smaller accident. The purpose of gazette notification is to inform public that an investigation happening, these are the people, and if you have any facts or if you want to ask questions, these are the people whom you have to address it to. So this is not at all transparent. You are even hiding the names of people who are doing it. So how will people approach you? Then you make it closed door. Then when there is a leak about what we have been seeing in the foreign media, then you don't deny. You don't say, no, there has been no leak. There is no statement from the government that there has been no leak. And the integrity of the CVR, FDR has been maintained. At least that is the minimum that you can do. That also you're not doing it. So if you're not denying that, which means you are scared of doing it because there has been a leak, right? Because the forward EFR, that is a black box, records 10 minutes more than the rear one, because of the integral electrical supply. But the preliminary report does not say. It says the moment impact happened, it stopped. So why did it stop? Where were the 10 minutes? So now
So,
we have,
hang on. You have to explain this. You're saying 10 minutes of the black box recording is not missing, but it's not available because one of the black boxes was damaged. Can you elaborate on this point?
so both black boxes were damaged. The rear one is at this point not recoverable, but the front one could be recovered. So what was done is the NTSP flew in a golden chassis, which is a similar EFR black box. Only thing it cannot write on it. So now
Okay.
you have the data from the damaged black box has to be transferred to the golden chassis. So in that process, has the data integrity been maintained? So that is the point of leak from where anybody can copy because there are other people involved, and now the data has to transfer. So
So, are you saying we
timing,
don't know for sure about 10 minutes of recording on one of the black boxes?
yeah, 10 minutes because the preliminary report says the recording stopped at 080911, which was the impact point. But as per design of that EFR, it has to continue for 10 minutes more after the electrical supply is cut. So was there a technical problem there that it stopped? Or was there a data loss? Because we've been given 2 hours of CVR. So is it all, what is the integrity of that? Is it readable? Has the transcript been done? So there is no statement on that. So that is where the whole area is kind of blurred. And that is the way the leak happens.
So, in a way, Captain Randhawa, Captain Amit Singh is questioning the integrity of the probe panel findings because the integrity of the CVR and black box, in a way that has that confidentiality been maintained. What does that lead you to believe in terms of this preliminary report? Because if there is no clarification that the integrity of the CVR and the black box has been maintained, then the entire probe panel report comes under a cloud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If the integrity is not maintained, then how there is no clarity on the report at all. And in fact, if you see the sequence of events which have been given from the DFDR, uh, some things are not matching. So there are loopholes over there, and as we have explained earlier, also that RAT deployment time and it starts giving the services to the hydraulics and the electronics and starts the relight cycle. Um, it actually, if you see that this takes approximately about 6 to 7 seconds. So then backwards we have to work when did the engines fail. So the things are not matching. And now a lot of pilots from abroad, they've been writing to me, and everyone has been talking about a problem in the electrical system. And these are all retired senior pilots who've been writing these emails to me. So I presume that there has to be more depth into the especially the uh, electrical system of the aircraft, because there are just not two circuits which are going from one component to another. So there are multiple circuits going. So if the trouble has occurred, where it has occurred, so you really need a lot of expertise to comment upon this electrical circuits in the
But
aircraft.
but 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 in short, both of you feel that what has been placed in the public domain right now is under a cloud. There are timings that don't add up. There's data integrity that is in question. There is a 10 minutes about one of the DFDR recordings that is unclear. Captain JPC, you want to add your voice or your response to that?
Definitely, I think things are not clear because unless now I've just come to know this. I didn't know this that 10 minutes of extra recording is available in the forward enhanced airborne digital flight recorder. because that leaves a lot of questions. But I'm saying even the one which is available till 0809 when the crash has happened, why isn't that being made available? Because even a simple thing like I'll give you, uh, there's a person I know who's an expert in this, and he's worked on the Boeing 747 systems in the US with the Boeing company. And of course, all his information is supposed to be confidential, but he has contacts who've kind of told him that in these, especially this aircraft, we all keep calling it a very heavily electrically dense aircraft. It's not only electrically dense, it is, I mean, the electronics in the aircraft are generally termed as avionics. So it's a very heavily avionically dense as well as software driven. And what he made me believe, because I had asked him this question after hearing your interview with the
Yeah.
lady attorney.
Yes.
So
Yes. Mary Schiavo. Yes. Yes.
she had talked about a crash in Tokyo. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in the Tokyo crash, what came out was that this aircraft landed, it was absolutely normal. When he came down, weight on wheels was felt by the aircraft. The speed brakes deployed, and they lifted the reverse thrusters, and they engaged the reverse thrust, and both their engines failed. And the aircraft was kept standing. Obviously, to make the engineers, when they come to the aircraft, they didn't shut off the engines or didn't release cycle or do anything, because they wanted to show the engineers that the fuel switches are still in the run position. And what has happened?
Correct.
So the Boeing came to a conclusion that the reverse thrusters had been engaged prematurely. That means the weight on wheels had not sensed the switch. As per my knowledge, till the weight on wheels is sensed, you cannot lift the reverse thrusters. They'll not unlock into the engaged position. And so he tied up the same thing with this gentleman whom we checked with. He said the same way, this what happens is, whenever a mechanical switch or a hardware interacts with software, that transit period is the time that the glitch can come into the system. That means if the weight on wheels switch in case of the Tokyo crash and weight on wheels in this switch did not go to the air mode after the aircraft has got airborne, it could have, a glitch could have given a command for the FedEx to shut off the engines. Why that
Right.
happens, don't have the expertise to say that, but he says it is typically happens whenever there's a mechanical switch which interacts with the software. That is the time the glitch takes place. And Boeing is aware of certain areas where the glitches have taken place because of the electrical system. And that is why that if you remember last time I mentioned to you that period of 246 or 248 days,
Yeah.
that under lab tested conditions, they have now, Boeing had sort of issued a bulletin where they said every 120 days the aircraft system must be reset, because the number of glitches, it's called electrical stacking. That means the number of faults in the system goes up to a certain place and then the system gives up. That means the probability of a glitch happening becomes very bright. So what I'm stating is, if it is 128 days, Boeing is admitting themselves, what happens if it happens, a glitch happens in 40 days?
Hmm.
Because software
Uh,
glitches can happen
yeah.
anytime when the systems, it's like creating a perfect storm.
Yeah, and also the 2019 Osaka incident when the engines quit on landing has never been fully explained. But Captain Amit, can I ask you to explain a little more about this 10 minutes of recording on one of the black boxes? Because I think a lot of people will not understand, they will have more questions. So if you can just elaborate a little bit more on this.
So let me update you about the Korean accident, Jeju,
Yes.
in which the 737 landed without the wheels and struck the end of the runway. The interim report has been released. I think, again, the fingers point to the pilot
Yeah.
error. But there it was noticed that the last few minutes of the CVR, FDR was not available. That is because when the electrical supply is cut, all the systems shut down, including the CVR, FDR. So investigators have been looking at this for a long time because they want to know what happened afterwards. After the electrical system shut down, what was the conversation, or what was the aircraft, what were the parameters showing? That will help in the investigation. So they came up with a new system which will have its own integral battery so that it can run for 10 minutes beyond when the aircraft electrical supply is cut off. So that will give you an insight of what was happening, because electrical supply cutoff is typically the last point or the impact point. So you will have something more. That is why it was decided to have this kind of a unit. But FAA did not agree. FAA said, we want the old DFDR. If you want to install another one, okay, install another one. So now the 787s have two of them. In the rear, because that is the most protected area, the tail one. So you have the traditional EFR, that is a black box, which cuts off supply at impact.
Yeah.
And in the front, you have this EAFR, which lasts for 10 minutes more than the rear one. So now this has a better sound quality because this is placed closer to the cockpit.
Yeah.
So the data and everything which is traveling all the way back to the aircraft need not travel all the way and losses. So this is right near the cockpit. So the integrity and the quality of sound and data is much better in this. And your electronic messages, the electrical, the ACARS messages, which are passed back and forth, are also recorded. So this will give, but as per design, this is also crash proof, the same standards as the rear one. So it should bear about 3,400 Gs for 0.67 seconds, 1,000 degrees centigrade for 60 minutes, and submersible and all that. But this will record 10 minutes more. So here it stopped at impact. So why did it stop? Because of a design issue? Because there are nil recommendations in this preliminary report. The ELT stopped, the EFR stopped, everything stopped. So the ELT did not activate only. And then you
and the report says that the front black box stops recording on impact of crash.
Yeah, the same time.
And you're saying that could have had 10 minutes of extra recording, therefore which we don't have.
As per design, it is supposed to have. So that is the design. So was there a design fault or whatever, or was there a data loss? Because they have not given that there is 100% quality assurance in whatever is.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Got it.
Yeah. 2 hours. 2 hours could be any 2 hours behind.
But you're basically saying that as the plane crashes on impact, the front DFDR stops recording further. Is this a design issue, or is there some data that could have been available, critical data that has been lost?
Data transfer between the golden chassis
front and the rear.
And the second
what
part
is this golden chassis?
So when the EFR is damaged, you have the memory box inside. So that chip has to be, then the data has to be transferred to a functioning EFR. So they get a replica of the same model. Only thing, that model cannot write over it. So that is called a golden chassis because it transfers onto the golden chassis and then it is like a new FDR.
Got it. Now,
the rear one, two lines on the rear one.
Yeah.
If you see, the rear one is badly damaged, but that is the safest point, and that had very little fire. So that is, and there is no soot over it. Normally, if you have fire, jet fuel fire, like the front one, there is soot covered, black soot. There is no soot. It is badly mangled and damaged, and there is gray covering, which is some hydrocarbon covering over it. So that is typical of a very high flame which has affected it. But if there is very little fire, where did the high flame come from? And the only source is any other lithium-ion battery close to it, which suddenly gives out this high flame. So while taxi, there were some faults, electrical faults on it relating to the bus control, which is controlling the charging of the batteries, discharging, and the distribution of the electrical systems. So there was a fault in that. So now that needs to be combined and seen that did that cause any other fault in the batteries? Because there is no reason to explain the kind of damage to the rear FDR.
So you've made a couple of points before Captain JP and Captain Randhawa respond. And please again correct me if I summarize this wrong. There are two DFDRs, front and rear, on this particular aircraft. The front black box lasts or is supposed to last 10 minutes more in terms of recording than the rear one. What we know is that the front DFDR stops recording at the point of impact as the plane crashes. Is this a design flaw? Have we lost some data? We don't know. The rear black box is badly mangled and damaged, as is typical of flames, but we didn't see any obvious flames. So you're wondering whether there has been an internal lithium battery explosion that could have caused this kind of damage to the rear DFDR. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, Captain Randhawa, you want to come in on this? This is bringing in a new theory about the batteries, and these batteries have been an issue on this aircraft in the past. Captain Randhawa?
Yeah. There have been issues on the lithium batteries. I do not deny it, but I was not aware what Amit just mentioned about the fire which could have been caused by the lithium batteries in the rear compartment. Now, the point is that recovery of the DFDR is there. That is how they're able to decipher and tell us something about the recordings of the DFDR. Whereas, on the contrary, very less aspects have been explained on the CVR. Now, CVR, the last, at least some parts should have been, deciphered, because CVR analyzing is very fast. It doesn't take that long. Maybe in a couple of hours, you can finish the DFDR of 2 hours of recording. Now, as far as the DFDR is concerned, the recordings which they're giving, they have to be in some order, and it should be making sense. Now, the fuel cutoff switches and between the fuel to run, 10 seconds gap, you just can't understand how can that happen.
Somebody told me that there's actually a 14-second gap between by the time the second switch is brought back on. So 10 seconds to the first switch coming on and 14 to the second one coming on. Now, if somebody knows that the plane is going down, why would there be a 14-second gap between the first switch going from run to cut and the second switch coming back on to run?
Yes, precisely.
So what does that suggest to you, Captain Randhawa? What does that suggest to you?
Firstly, I have been disputing this theory that the fuel control switches have been moved.
Yeah.
The word is used as transition. Of course, the Americans use this terminology, but I still am a firm believer that there is some software problem, electronics problem, which has occurred. And my theory is still based on the NH985 accident at Osaka in January 2019. So here also, see, Barkha, I've been saying they're quiet. What happened when the aircraft got airborne? 50 to 70 feet, they were supposed to, the pilot calls up for positive climb, gear up. Nothing of that sort has happened. What happened about the autopilot engagement? Who was flying the aircraft later on?
What do you mean later on? What do you mean later on? What do you mean later on?
Supposing the autopilot has been taken, did that PIC take over the controls? Normally, in such emergencies and all, the PIC can take over the controls. Now, has he taken over the controls? It's not known. Has the autopilot been engaged? Not known. So we cannot be speculating now what has happened. Because the report is not clearly indicative of the crucial moments in the aircraft.
Yeah, absolutely. Captain JP Singh, let's start taking last comments, your response, and then I'll ask Amit to close for us. I mean, we've heard now from Amit a kind of new thing we haven't looked at about the black box, the nature of the damage to the rear box. Captain Randhawa is talking about the missing data in terms of publicly available information. Maybe they know it, we don't. In what has been revealed, we don't know. Your thoughts, Captain JP?
No, Barkha, what I'd like to say is what Captain Randhawa has already covered is what I would like to add to it is normally on takeoff, both the pilots are with their headsets. So what the information, like even the ATCs recorded a Mayday call, it has come. So if there was a stick shaker on there because of the stall warning, or the configuration of the aircraft was such where the gear is hanging down, flap 5, you lost engines, possibly the maximum speed it went up to was 180. Thereafter, it would have only gone down, or they have kept the speed at 180. In case there was a activation of the aircraft stick shaker, the in CVR, the general area mic would have definitely recorded it. It may not come in the normal mic when the guy's been giving the call, but it makes it's not a racket, but it's enough sound to be recorded by the CVR. So it should have definitely come, or it is come to the notice of the this thing before, because before the aircraft has crashed. And one point which Captain Amit has also brought out is that ELT is not got activated, and ELT is supposed to get activated at 3.5 G plus. And if it is not activated, do we understand that during the crash the aircraft did not even experience 3.5 G?
Can you explain this more simply? Can you explain this more simply? What does it mean?
No, what he had suggested, Captain Amit had said that the ELT has not been activated.
Yeah.
To my understanding, ELT, either they have got it now, they should be able to check it whether it was serviceable or not. Because if it was serviceable and the aircraft crashed, unless it has crashed with an impact or less than plus 3.5 G, because that is enough to activate the ELT. Or do we understand that the crash was so smooth that it didn't activate anything?
Okay, let me give Captain Amit Singh the last word on this. Go ahead, Amit.
Captain Randhawa talked about the TCMA in Japan, All Nippon.
Yeah.
So the history starts from 2016 when Boeing approached FAA, and FAA quietly gave them an exemption on TCMA. Right. So that was that document is available where they were given an exemption till 2020 that nothing should happen in the intervening time. That was primarily because of the activation of TCMA. There was a Saudi incident in which the TCMA activated on ground and they couldn't control the thrust. So they knew about the software bug in the TCMA, so they wanted an exemption. They got an exemption, even though FAA has gone on record and said that this is hazardous, but they're giving an exemption. And in the Japan, the reverse happened. So in the first case, they were dealing with a problem wherein there was high thrust, which could not be controlled. They got an exemption. But in Japan, it worked the other way around, that there was no high thrust and it shut down the engine. So this TCMA is already under the scanner, and Boeing and even FAA have not come out openly on what's happening. I'll take you back. There are code documents available wherein it is said that there were certain design faults from the beginning, 737-200s, the rudder problem, the 747 where the center tank blew up, wiring problem, 787 batteries, 737 MAX, MCAS. So Boeing was always aware of these design problems, but they did not address it. So reason why that is the safety culture prevailing there. But the point is that we in India have to get our safety culture right, wherein we have to evaluate all these aircrafts and softwares independently to get a better view of what actually is happening, not to take whatever everything on face value, and then we don't know how to deal with it also. For that also, we have to call the NTSP guys. So we have no expertise. Similarly, for the team, we are still kind of building the team. So officially, we have not informed the public that these are the people. But we are only saying that, yes, AAIB is very capable. But we have seen in the past how capable they are and how even aircraft accident reports go missing. Reports go missing, aircrafts are missing, and CVR, in some cases, there are blanks in between. Suddenly CVR stops, then starts again. So all those cases are there in AIB accidents. So that is the history. So we need to move forward and improve rather than covering up things.
I think that's the operative part, that the country should at least know that if this probe panel is so accomplished, who are the people on it, who were the subject matter experts deployed, how can that part be a mystery? I mean, why should that be a mystery? That should not be a mystery. However confidential a process is, if there can be an announcement of Captain Sandhu joining the probe panel, there should be an announcement of all the other names and all the other experts who were consulted, and somebody should own this preliminary report. It remains an unsigned document, as has been pointed out. We leave it there. Thank you very much, Captain Amit Singh, Captain JP Singh, and Captain Randhawa. The questions are only mounting, and there are fewer and fewer answers as time progresses. I think the probe panel, I would say, has added noise instead of light to these questions. But we leave it there, and we'll keep at least asking, we hope, the right questions. Thank you, gentlemen, and to our audience, thank you, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.